everything from questions about cucumbers to homes on cul-de-sacs, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show with Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and James DeFreitas, the son. For the next hour, call in with your questions in gardening, growing your favorite veggies, and growing your profits in real estate. Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And a big good morning to you as we start off another edition of the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show. And we're here. I am Stan, and you are?
And I am James, and we're here to take your gardening and or real estate questions. So give us a call at 813-289-1860. We are here every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. We had a caller last week was saying, hey, I just was flipping through the dials, happened to get your signal come in, and make sure you tell me what day it is, what time you're on. And so we have officially done that now.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9, and I had someone contact me recently and said, hey, do you remember Mark Govan? I said, well, certainly. I worked with him for years at WFLA, and somebody said, well, we will miss him. And I said, we will all miss him. So,
absolutely, yeah. Good guy.
Unfortunately, Mark was taken too early, and, I had deep sympathy for his family. And I will say that, we're here. So there is an alternative. You do have a gardening show, 7 to 9, Sunday mornings, and we appreciated all the clubs, civic clubs, garden clubs. I don't know. If you know somebody who grows a blade of grass or has a home.
That's right. And let's not forget our real estate buddies, because out there, we know in Pinellas County alone, there are 9,000 registered realtors at Pinellas Realtor Organization. So we know you're out there. So, that is an enormous amount of people. And that in and of itself, many realtors also love gardening.
If you're a realtor, then you certainly should be, listening to our show. And if you want to call in, too, you can say, hey, we're with Boom to Boom. We're with somebody. That's fine.
We always encourage, too, if you have an interesting closing, if you had an interesting scenario happen, maybe you had a situation. I remember reading in one of the realtor magazines, as a matter of fact, I've got the latest copy that just came in the other day. Mm-hmm. There was a scenario that I thought was pretty interesting that occurred, because they always have, hey, ask the legal team, or hey, this is what happened kind of scenario. And one of the scenarios that had occurred is there was a scenario where a realtor, let the would-be buyer come in a day before the closing. Now, she was doing it under the guise that we were doing like the last inspection, the walkthrough.
You don't mean just walkthrough? She actually let her come in and take possession? The person that was buying it was coming in with the idea that that they were going to. They told the agent, hey, we want to come in and do our final walkthrough. And in the reality, what they started to do when they got in there, the agent said, oh, okay, so you want to take a really deep dive here. Well, I'll be back. And so the agent left the property, and she came back, and she saw that they had removed all the kitchen cabinets out of the place. Oh.
And
that's kind of a big no-no.
Yeah, and then the follow-up to that was it didn't close.
Ooh.
And
somebody's going to have to put those cabinets back up.
Well, the problem is when they took the cabinets out, they didn't do a very good job on how they took them out. They just ripped them out.
Well, then I see somebody psychically buying new cabinets.
Yeah, and ultimately what happened in that scenario, and the agent didn't want to have to do it, because here they are, the poor buying agent. They don't make a commission until it closes. And so the next thing you know, the buying agent was writing out a check for $17,000 for brand new kitchen cabinets.
What a hard lesson.
And so, that final walkthrough is I'm not, today everything's white gloves, but you walk in there and you're supposed to look. Your eyeballs are supposed to be doing the work, not your hands or anything else.
You mean you can't start knocking off locks and stuff?
You can't do that. You cannot touch
anything. It's not yours. It's not yours until you. I know people sit there. Well, I put in an escrow check, and then that makes it kind of mine. Well, no, it's not yours until after the closing and keys have been exchanged. And if we're going to get technical about it, probably not yours until it's actually filed with the county. But again, everyone takes possession once they get the keys. So, yeah, I mean, it's a small distinction, but it's an important one, and it's the closing must take place. And so, and again, it's one of those scenarios. One of the funniest things, too, about closings, and I'll get off of we'll get back to gardening here in a second, but one of the funniest things in terms of closings is that, you really, you can get all hot and huffy and everything, but in every real estate, as is real estate contract, it says that you agree to arbitrate or mediate the scenario. So if you have a problem, let me just say this: when you get, and I encourage, this is another avenue of why both the buyer and the seller should be a little less testy, because anybody who's been in the business, you've been around, you thought you were dealing with a very rational, calm person, and then the next thing you know, when their dander gets up,
not so much.
Yeah, and then you find out what people are really made of when there's a little bit of pressure on the situation. But the funny thing is even if you have a legal background, and maybe you're not that familiar with an as-is FAR contract, but it says right in there that you agree as part of your offer that you're going to agree if there's an issue to arbitration or mediation. So the idea that you could ever go out and sue somebody without having it go to that first is bizarre. So I just want to throw that out there to people. And again, I'm not giving out legal advice. I'm just stating a fact in the contract that you're agreeing to this in advance. So I don't know. It's that much. It's that silly for that to even be addressed. That I'm going to sue you.
Take it to the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. See this face, sir? You're going to see this face again.
And then you just go
right, or boop 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 as you did.
Yeah, it's
anyway. We won't go into that any more than that. But I just want to say I think it's a funny process. And but anyway, we do have getting back to gardening. I do have a gardening question that came on the AskMrGreenthumb.com website. And again, I encourage everybody out there too, if you have questions.
How do they get to that?
They go to AskMrGreenthumb.com. So you just type it into a Google engine, or whatever search engine you like. Just type in Ask Mr. Greenthumb, and it'll come straight to our website. And then you'll go to the Ask button when you get to the website. You'll click on that Ask button, and then there'll be, you'll be able to email us a question. And now, I might add, our tech guru, Mr. Shane at Co-Conspirator Media, it made it to where we have the functionality of being able to submit a photo, and it'll do it natively right off of your iPhone or Android device, so people can, let's face it. We take pictures with our phones. We don't want to have to, you want me to convert the photo and then put it into a PNG file and then I'm going to hit... Come on. Nobody wants to do that. They just want to take the photo and hit send.
Yeah, I don't want 20 steps. I want something. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Everyone wants it simple. That's what we're here about, keeping it simple. But anyway, this question came in from the AskMrGreenthumb.com website, and it says, this is from a Robert, okay? So he writes... Hi, Stan. Love the show. That's great to see you back on the air. 7 to 9 is a wonderful time slot. Love Sunday mornings.
Good.
He writes, I got a problem with my Crepe Myrtle. I have a beautiful Crepe Myrtle. It's about 5 foot tall. However, it's not blooming. What can I do to get it to bloom?
Makes me wonder when you trimmed it last. I mean, they normally set their buds early, and maybe... if he kept it at 5 foot, maybe he did some trimming. That would be my guess, that because they normally bloom in June. I mean, that's the Crepe Myrtle, June, July. And sometimes when you trim them back, the Crepe Myrtle will go ahead and bloom again later in the end of summer or beginning of fall, which here is about the same thing. It's heat or a little less heat sometimes on certain days, but that may be it. Now, normally I would recommend for any of the bloomers a lower nitrogen, higher second and third number. So if it's like a 5-10-10, 2-10-10, those are normally considered bloomer-type fertilizers. I do believe in fertilizer.
Right. Maybe you should mention what those, again, if I hadn't grown up in Mr. Greenthumb's household, I wouldn't know that what the first three numbers are, but maybe go over that a little bit.
Okay, nitrogen, which is the green and growing element, phosphorus is your second element, and potassium, or K, is your third, or K2O if you get the elemental. Nothing is usually ever, just phosphorus or just K2O. It's usually in combination with other things, and since you've taken some chemistry classes as in your magna cum laude graduate, you know that better than many people. But we're not going to make everybody a chemist, but you probably should know that that's important. And you should know, one of the reasons I'm a big proponent of Black Cow in improving the soils, not only can we say that Black Cow is going to make your soil, it's 10 times healthier with microorganisms than regular soil. Sure. So when you add that to it, just like us, everything today is, when I was a kid, no one talked about probiotics. Today, everybody talks about probiotics and all the microflora and the trillions, literally, of good bacteria that live in your system. And without them, you have a problem. It's one of the problems with radiation. When you have, let's say, cancer and they radiate you and make you glow like a Christmas tree, they don't really, but kind of. In some cases, they're worried if they go too far and kill all that good natural bacteria and flora, you've got a problem, because that's needed, and the same thing is needed in our soils. We need to have the good guys. Now, that nitrogen, we're going to say, is for green and growing. Phosphorus is kind of a flowering. It helps with overall enzyme movement and other things like that. Cold hardiness possibly in the plant, along with potassium, which is going to give you some strength. We need nitrogen. We take in protein, and 1/7 of all protein is nitrogen. So we use nitrogen, as protein. Plants use it directly, if you will, and it gets converted with the plant as well.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying for the Crepe Myrtle question is some Black Cow as a good base, as a foundation, would be a good thing to add.
Couldn't hurt.
It sounds like you're wanting to make sure that we have the right amount of a blooming type fertilizer is added to the Crepe Myrtle. And you're questioning as to whether or not they're trimming it too much.
Maybe it was trimmed, too either late in the season or maybe too early in the season for the flowers. If you trimmed off the flowers, the plant goes, hey, it's time for us to start putting it back out growth.
That's right. And we want to mention to you that it's time right now to give us a call at 289-1860. That's 813-289-1860 if you want to give us a call about gardening and or real estate.
Stay with us as the Plant Talk and Real Estate Talk continues.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
Hi, Darcy the Cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Every time you buy a bag of Black Cow, you're helping the environment. Black Cow contains 10 times more nutrients and microbes than garden soils. Your lawn, flower beds, and vegetable gardens will be off to a great start with Black Cow.
Black Cow, the mature manure, Black Cow.
Are you thinking about selling your home? You need more than a great realtor on your site. You also need a trusted title agency to close the sale. Connect with one of our local real estate closing specialists at Title Insurers of Florida. We've worked with the Tampa Bay community since 2003 to provide smooth home closings and title insurance when it's your time to sell. It's not just paperwork, it's the safety and peace of mind you deserve. For title and escrow services that are unparalleled, give us a call at 727-456-4700. Title Insurers of Florida. We're opening doors for our community, one closing at a time.
Attention real estate agents. Need help selling a listing? Auction it off with RE/MAX Metro. Auctions work. And with RE/MAX Metro, most auctions are scheduled within 45 days, selling at fair market value, and we'll guarantee your commission. Auction your Florida real estate with RE/MAX Metro. Go to aflre.com. A for auction, FLRE for Florida real estate. Call 727-423-4794 today or go to aflre.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside, in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Utzi Tree Service, that's YUTZY, is singularly focused on complete customer satisfaction and has been for almost 50 years. From initial contact to service completion, UtziTreeService.com will prove that you have hired the best tree care service available. With the most knowledgeable staff and the most advanced equipment, you can be sure that UtziTreeService.com is the most professional tree care company in the Tampa Bay area. Contact UtziTreeService.com today for the highest quality tree care.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan DeFreitas, and you are James.
I am James DeFreitas, and we're here. If you have gardening and or real estate questions, give us a call. We'll talk to you on the air about what is something that's happened in your situation. Maybe you've had some interesting plants, or maybe something unusual happening in your yard. That's something we want to always talk about. And if you've had maybe an unusual closing, if you had something happen that was out of the norm, that'd be interesting to talk about. We also, we can tell you a little bit about real estate auctions. That's what Stan and I do. We specialize in real estate auctions so that we know how to talk fast, and we know how to make sure we get the most amount of money for your property. One of the questions that I get, and maybe some reservations that people typically have with real estate auctions, is they think that we're going to give away their home. The whole idea behind a real estate auction is to get into a competitive bidding scenario. Competitive bidding scenario brings out the idea between two people. It involves the whole concept of ego. And
I want to win.
I want to win. And so I would say that to sellers out there and, selling agents out there, if you're in a situation where, you have maybe an unusual property or a property where you think it could use a second look. Well, that's what we do, and we work with every brokerage out there. It doesn't matter if you're with Keller Williams, if you're with Berkshire Hathaway, or if you're with RE/MAX Metro. We work with everybody. Mm-hmm. We love everybody and every situation. We've looked at it, and if nothing else, we give you a second idea, a second look, a second opinion. And sometimes that second opinion helps you know if you're on the right track, or if you think that maybe we can do something that would be advantageous to your client.
True. I had a call the other day from somebody who's they're worried about COVID, and they had a property, have had it forever, and that's a nice property, and she can't seem to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. And she's a bit worried because it's time, the contract's about ending. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm going to call her this week as soon as our contract is ready. And she goes, but okay, COVID's been a problem. Do you have an answer for it? And I said, well, we kind of do, because we now have a hybrid auction. Not only could we auction from the porch or lanai or front step of the property, but we also have the ability to, we have a system where we can do it online.
Absolutely. You may have heard, you people out there, our listeners, you may have heard of something called the Zoom platform.
Probably had a couple meetings on it if you're the average person.
Well, it's nothing fancy, folks. It's, basically if you go to the Auction Florida Real Estate website, aflre.com, you can go to our website. You can see that basically what we're doing is we're getting people to give us some financial information in advance so that they can register for an auction. And then we give them the login credentials for Zoom, and then people can join us and bid on real estate from afar. So, and it's really neat. I mean, if say you're in a hot spot, or used to be a hot spot like New York or New Jersey or something like that, you could pop open that laptop, you could pop open your iPad or even your phone for that matter. And you can sit there and you can, if you can hold up a note card or a blank piece of paper with a number on it that we assign you, then you can bid on real estate. So, and I guess in that way, we could say we are COVID-19 specialists, because does it get any safer if you don't have to leave the comfort of your own home? Now that doesn't say that you've had a great chance to look at the property. I still say it's tough to look at real estate from pictures and or video and get a great idea of what it is that you're buying. I still think, I always find it, I hear people do this all the time. They'll talk about, well, I bought it sight unseen. Wow. That's the first thing that goes through my brain is I can't believe it that people can buy stuff where we're talking, $300 or $400 or $500 up to $1 million. I can't imagine people are buying too many things, sight unseen, but I guess it does happen from time to time.
If you got some photos or some video.
Yeah. Those are great ideas, but to me, I'm a big feel guy. I got to be able to see it, feel it, touch it. It's like the Warren Buffett principle in terms of stock ownership. I got to be able to, I want to have some tangibleness to it. If I don't have that tangibleness to it, then I feel like I'm missing out. Who knows? Maybe you walk into the place and they got 7 cats. Yeah, I don't know. That to me would affect the value of the property drastically.
Could be a bit of a problem.
It could be a bit of a problem. Yeah, and we may have had a problem like that one time.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
We have a winner, Bob.
Yeah, we're sort of, anytime that we discuss something in the periphery, we're sort of giving you a real world example of something we've actually dealt with. Here we were dealing with a property where it was we were expecting it to go for, 800, 850, somewhere in there. And, lovely, nice people, wonderful people.
I liked them.
Yeah. Great. Still do. But they had like 5 or 6 cats. And and it was like, you knew they had 5 or 6 cats and there was no way of getting around it. So, Stan being Stan, he's like, well, I'll be back, so, I think he was trying to go get some air outside to replenish his lungs. But he came back 3 days later and he had a pump up sprayer and was trying to get rid of the smell.
Well, it worked for the most part. It helped anyway.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things that, every agent out there can take on the easy deals. It's the agents that are able to find a way to get past the problem child properties. And that's one of the things that we'll do. From calling up the hard money lenders to taking care of pet smells. If we have a chance of getting it closed, we'll do it.
We'll go that extra mile.
That's right. So we want to tell you, if you want to call us at toll free at 1-877-969-8600, you certainly can do that. We're here to take your plant and or real estate questions.
Or 813-289-1860. Use my big radio voice.
The big boy voice.
Yes. And you can be part of the show, so start dialing.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.
Attention real estate agents. Need help selling a listing? Auction it off with RE/MAX Metro. So, auctions work. And with RE/MAX Metro, most auctions are scheduled within 45 days, selling at fair market value, and we'll guarantee your commission. Auction your Florida real estate with RE/MAX Metro. Go to AFLRE.com. A for auction, FLRE for Florida real estate. Call 727-423-4794 today or go to AFLRE.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Iranian investigators are blaming a misaligned missile battery and miscommunication between soldiers and their commanders for the Revolutionary Guard shooting down a Ukrainian jetliner back in January, killing 176 people. The report released last night by Iran's Civil Aviation Organization comes months after the crash. The shootdown happened at the same night Iran launched a ballistic missile attack against U.S. soldiers in Iraq. The governor of Japan's Okinawa is demanding a top U.S. military commander take tougher prevention measures and more transparency, hours after officials were told that 60 Marines at 2 bases have been infected with the coronavirus over the past few days. And hundreds of thousands of Hong Kong residents voting in an unofficial 2-day primary election held by the city's pro-democracy camp. This is SRN News.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085.
Now streaming on SalemNow.com is the brand new film Selfie Dad. Selfie Dad, a funny yet powerful movie about a Christian dad in a midlife crisis. When confronted with the life-changing truths of the Bible, he learns the only way to have true happiness.
God can do incredible things.
Selfie Dad stars Christian comedians Michael Jr. and Shonda Pierce.
Watch Selfie Dad at SalemNow.com and use promo code TAMPA to save 20%. That's SalemNow.com, promo code TAMPA.
Take AM 860 The Answer with you wherever you go with our mobile app, theanswertampa.com, Alexa, TuneIn, iHeart, and at radio.com. Thinking of buying a home or refinancing your mortgage? Don't settle for limited loan options. And don't waste your time calling all over town just to compare rates. Skip all the hassle and connect with Motto Mortgage Advisors instead. Motto Mortgage Advisors home loan experts offer a wide variety of mortgage products, and they'll help you compare rates and loan terms in one convenient location. Visit mottomortgage.com or call 727-202-5626. Motto Mortgage Advisors, NMLS 1744233. Each office is independently owned, operated, and licensed. Equal housing opportunity.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now. 813-289-1860. Toll free. 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan DeFreitas, the dad, and you are?
And I'm James DeFreitas, the son, and we're here. We're here to take your questions. If you have any gardening and or real estate questions, you can call us at 813-289-1860.
That'll put you on the air with us. We have Mr. Ron Smith, who's with us, who is an agent, I believe, over in Orlando. And Ron, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
And you're kind of an investor type, aren't you? I think you said, we talked earlier in the week, you actually kind of put things together, deals, and you look for properties that maybe other folks might not always jump on, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And, well, tell me a little bit about, now, who are you with? And I'll let you do a little plug here.
I'm an associate at Sandower Realty Group of Orlando.
Orlando, okay. Well, I love Orlando. And now, do you work primarily in Orlando or on the outskirts or wherever a deal comes up?
In a close area around Orlando, like Apopka, Altamont, Longwood, Ocoee.
Now, Apopka, of course, is the foliage capital of the world for folks who want to know. When you go over there, there are just, there's a plethora of nurseries growing all kinds of philodendrons and Dieffenbachias and spathiphyllums, all these indoor plants that we see around the world. Well, of course, it's a nice, fairly warm area, especially if you've got a greenhouse, even during the winter season. And so that is an area that probably more foliage plants are grown there for the rest of the country than anywhere else in the country.
Interesting. So, Ron, how long have you been in the business?
40 years.
Wow.
Long time.
So in 40 years, you have got to have a story where a closing or something occurred that was highly unusual, that was interesting. Is there anything like that you can recall?
I've had one that I chased the owner for 20 years, and I had a friend that finally found her on Facebook, because I couldn't get her to return my letters.
Wow, that is persistence. I admire that.
Yes, thank you.
Wow, yeah. So you go, and that's 40 years down here in Florida.
Well, I started out in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But I've been down here since '84.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you go back to the days where it was all in the books. It was like, you get a MLS book and you'd see all the listings that were in there.
Yes.
Wow. So that's going back to the amount of technology that is available nowadays must blow your mind in terms of the instant access. I don't know about you, but I find it interesting. And again, we don't specialize in doing that, the type of real estate that you do. We just do the auctions. But the amount of information that a would-be purchaser has. I mean, they already have, these are the 5 properties I picked out on Zillow. Here's what I think they're worth, and here's what I want to go see, and here's what I want to go do. I'm always amazed at how educated they are and how much they're ready to go.
Yeah, today's technology is amazing.
You've made the adaptation, and that's great because a lot of people sometimes, my age, let's say your age, a lot of times the agents go, gosh, I'm not used to doing this. Mm-hmm. But I'm amazed the number of agents who said, okay, we embrace it. We will, there are agents who are a lot older than me and older than you, Ron, and they still go, well, I'm adaptable. And I think in real estate, if you're going to survive in this business, you have to be adaptable.
Yes, you have to make changes. Yes.
Yeah, there's definitely a certain degree of flexibility that you have to have. And I mean, I do think that we are going to look back at this time, and I think that there will be a moment of, I think agents in particular will look back and chuckle at the amount of things that we were expected to do. I mean, we're supposed to turn ourselves into, marketing managers. We're supposed to sit back and know how to interact on social media platforms. And then, my problem is once we do all this social media stuff, when do we actually get into selling real estate? I mean, we're setting all this stuff up, and I keep going, geez, I'm spending hours and hours and hours every day just promoting myself, much less do I have time to sell this real estate stuff. What am I doing?
That's true. Ron, let me ask you a question. I know you said you've taken on some properties. What's the toughest property you ever that you bought that you said, gosh, I'm not so sure once you got into the deal, you started to tear out the drywall or whatever and said, oh my Lord, what did I jump into here? Did you come across something where you had second thoughts after you started opening the house up?
I did, and it wasn't just the house itself. It turned out the well couldn't be repaired. There was some blockage that was broken down in the well.
Oh my!
We had to create a new well, and the only spot that we could create it, we were not far enough away from the septic field and septic tank, so we had to get a variance, which cost a lot of extra. They have to put an extra concrete pad down for the new well. We had to get federal and state approval to do that.
Wow. That sounds like a hassle.
It was.
But you got through it. I bet when you finally got it all done, you were going, ta-da, I've triumphed over something that it's like, Lord, you've thrown this at me, you've thrown this at me, you've thrown this at me, and I'm still standing.
Yes, that was a tough one.
And did you get the property sold?
Yes, we did.
Well, then that was the ultimate, the win when you brought the closing table. You were like, ha, success.
Yes.
That's always a good feeling. Absolutely. Especially the ones that are the most difficult. To me, again, I can deal with things when you buy something that there are issues with the property itself. The issues that I find more challenging is when you get, when you get people that are buying the property and you're dealing with, an undiagnosed psychosis or some kind of, you should be on medication and you're not, and I'm still having to navigate the crazy. I find that to be the most challenging aspect of real estate. That's probably the least talked about, but we all know it exists.
True.
We do.
Yeah.
Now, do you actually go in and do a lot of this work, or did you, when you were younger, do a lot of this work yourself, or do you bring in, have your own crew that...
I still do a lot of it where I'm usually there every day supervising the crews that are working.
Wow.
Because otherwise they either don't do it right, or like we discussed, or they just don't show up for days at a time. So I go out and make sure the work is getting done.
That seems to be a problem often with a lot of contractors out there that they start something and then they want to go off to the other job and then they want to go off to that job. And you're going, well, hey, what about the job that I hired you for? And I bet you've had that on occasion.
Oh, yeah. On that house in particular, told me he could do the job in 4 days, everything, a total rewire. And then he spent 4 hours and then left for Jamaica without telling me.
And you said, no problem, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's challenging. Yeah, and I can relate a little bit to your experiences too, because one of my first jobs, I was working as for a big, not big, but they were a small outfit, but they sold big properties up in Charleston, South Carolina. And one of the things that was very controversial that our company did at the time was they stopped paying the contractors on Fridays. They said, we'll pay you on Mondays. Because we had so many people that get paid on a Friday, we wouldn't see them on a Monday, probably wouldn't see them until Tuesday afternoon. And so we were like,
brown bottle flu?
Yeah, almost all the time. Well, I hate to generalize, but man, there's a lot of subs out there that have dependence issues. No matter what it is, they've got some, and again, it's a tough, grueling job, so I get it. And anybody who's ever done a hard day's work understands wow, that cold beer is looking pretty darn good. So, I don't knock them, but I will say that usually gets out of hand when they've done it for years.
Well, that's the reason Joe came into radio. He said, enough of this hard.
A lot of them feel if it's Friday, they have to go out and party that night and get either so drunk they can't make it the next day, or
you wouldn't want them working the next day normally anyway.
Right.
Yeah. The carpet's supposed to be downside, not upside. Little technical things. I used to say in the horticulture thing, green side up was the joke with throwing sod, because often you'd get guys who were, hey, it's pretty close. I go, it's nicer if it kind of abuts one piece against the other.
Yeah, the little details.
This 6 inches between each one doesn't work so well. Of course, Joe said they did that in the carpet business too. So I don't know. Yeah. Hey, 6 inches from the wall is pretty darn close. Just hit the kicker. We'll make it move over there.
Hey, we forgot the carpeting pad here. Hey, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't need no pad.
No pad.
So what kind of great property do you have right now? We'll let you put a little plug in. What is some hot property you're trying to sell?
Well, I'm not trying to sell it right at the moment, because if I hold it for a year, I can do long-term capital gain.
Yep.
Okay. See, you're an investor man.
Yep.
Good.
That makes sense.
So in a year from now, you're going to sell this property?
Yes.
Are you renting it out until then?
Yes.
Okay. Smart.
Makes sense.
That's smart. Well, I think a lot of folks are out there, I think people are saying, where do we put our money? And I still think if you can find the right deal, real estate is hard to beat. Yes, the market can be good. Stock market can be a great place if you have a great investor type that can, guide you through the sharks. But I'm always amazed too that people are going, hey, put money into this penny stock. It's going to be the next billion thing. And then you look at the penny stock a year from now and you go, I can't find it because it's gone. You've lost all your money. But so I agree with you. I think real estate is a wonderful place to have that, and especially if they've got your skill set, Ron, where you can look at stuff. Now, often I've found in some properties I want to bring sometimes an engineer in. I want to bring somebody that can tell me, hey, that support beam over there has to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one of these shows the other day on television where the people had not only support beam, they had like 2x4s that they had put up one on top of the other, like their support for the wall. And the folks are going, this isn't a header. This is an accident waiting to happen.
Right.
And so, have you ever come across where you needed to replace a whole header?
Oh, yes, often.
Sure. You get up there and you go, hey, the termites are holding this place together. Have you ever got into that where you had like a foundation wood where the wood is just really horrible? I know we have.
Yes. I have, yes.
Yeah.
Several times.
Well, Ron, if you want, you could go ahead and tell people how they could get a hold of you if they're interested in having your services.
Sure.
Well, I do help a lot of people. I'm can be reached at 407-948-2666. 2592.
Fantastic. So if you're in Orlando or if you're moving to Orlando, Ron could be a very good contact for you in terms of being able to get a hold of him and being able to navigate the wonderful world of real estate in the Orlando area. You can tell he has a bunch of knowledge in terms of his capabilities. So if you want to give us a call today on real estate and or gardening, it's 813-289-1860, and we're here to help you. And we'll take your calls.
Hi, Darcy the cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Every time you buy a bag of Black Cow, you're helping the environment. Black Cow contains 10 times more nutrients and microbes than garden soils. Your lawn, flower beds, and vegetable gardens will be off to a great start with Black Cow.
Black Cow, the mature manure, Black Cow.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Attention real estate agents. Need help selling a listing? Auction it off with RE/MAX Metro. Auctions work. And with RE/MAX Metro, most auctions are scheduled within 45 days, selling at fair market value, and we'll guarantee your commission. Auction your Florida real estate with RE/MAX Metro. Go to AFLRE.com. A for auction, FLRE for Florida real estate. Call 727-423-4794 today or go to AFLRE.com.
Utz Tree Service, that's YUTZY, is singularly focused on complete customer satisfaction and has been for almost 50 years. From initial contact to service completion, UTZTreeservice.com will prove that you have hired the best tree care service available. With the most knowledgeable staff and the most advanced equipment, you can be sure that UTZTreeservice.com is the most professional tree care company in the Tampa Bay area. Contact UTZTreeservice.com today for the highest quality tree care.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan, and you are James, and we are here to answer your questions. We were glad to have Ron there from Orlando. Sounds like a good agent, and interesting stories about wells and some of the problems that can occur, that do occur when you have properties. They're often, it'd be nice if everything was just perfect, but I've hardly come across too many deals that were just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, perfection doesn't exist even with a brand new home. So, I mean, that's just something that just is unattainable. And, when he was talking about getting, having to get regulatory permission from two different federal agencies, or two governmental agencies, I should say, it made me think of a buddy of yours who had put up a really big home. And the amount of effort, because he wanted to have a helicopter pad installed.
Old David, yep.
Yeah, so he wanted to have a helicopter pad installed. And, and that's an unusual story in terms of, if anybody, has this, aviation background and wants to have what I call the John Travolta experience, where your home is, something that is that matches your hobby. I mean, that's basically what I see with the Travolta types, is they're trying to find places where they can incorporate their hobby into the way they live. So the same thing is sort of similar there, in that Dave, he wanted to have, and he built a beautiful home up there, and I forget what it was, Tarpon Springs or Newport Richie. Okay. And it was a scenario where I didn't exactly care for, what you had to drive by to get there. And again, nothing wrong with mobile homes, but if you're looking at high-end real estate, you'd rather see less mobile homes than, in terms of property values. So, but nothing against mobile homes. But in going to his home there, it was like a 3-story home. He had his own tennis court, and and then they, this helicopter pad. And I remember him going into the story of how much effort it took to get this helicopter pad approved. Because that's a big deal. Getting something like that installed. But I could understand why he did, because he was kind of like the last home on this. I think he was the. At least midway on that little fingerling that he was on. But interesting, the amount of effort to get that done and that accomplished. It made me think back to that scenario that I know he went through in order to get that accomplished. Because anytime you're dealing with governmental agencies, it's a challenge.
Well, Dave was really nice too. He took me for a number of helicopter rides to places, to meetings, which is kind of an impressive way to come into a meeting in Brandon or wherever, which. If one of those meetings wasn't a real fun one, but it was still good to get you there and kind of come in style. I actually went down to one of the sod farms one time down off State Road 70, and that was interesting as well. But we landed right in the middle of the farm, and impressive. So Dave had all the toys that you could think of. Also had like the fastest, I think, single engine plane in the state, and or not state, but of its type. And so that was fun too. I think we took a ride one time over from Clearwater to Daytona. I think we were there in less than 28 minutes.
That's fast.
And that was moving. And he said, hey, this isn't even going nearly as fast as it could go, because I'm having to get up and then slow down to come in. So
sure.
But that was it was fun. Dave was very generous with his toys, and enjoyed. He was on my tennis team for a long time, which was fun. And anyhow, we're here. So what is that all about? I don't know. We're here to answer your questions, and we're going to have, I think, Aaron Foderman, who is Foderman is the publisher of Tampa Bay Magazine, who did a nice little story on us. If you guys have Tampa Bay Magazine, if you don't, you should. Interesting character. I mean, he is a gentleman who passed law, had a law degree, and I think he decided that writing was more fun than being an attorney. And I'll have to ask him if he did very much as an attorney. I'm not sure if he did other than for himself. I'm not sure the story on that. I know.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at askmrgreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now. 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am Stan DeFreitas, and you are?
And I am James DeFreitas, and we are here for you. So if you have any gardening questions and or real estate, you can give us a call at 813-289-1860. We are here every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., just for you guys.
And maybe you'd want to talk to Aaron, because not only is he the publisher of Tampa Bay Magazine, but an interesting person too.
And what a beautiful magazine it is,
too.
Is. I mean, there are magazines, and then there are magazines, and this one just takes the cake.
Yeah, I will say, Aaron, you are still with us?
I'm still here.
I'm still standing. I just read your book the other day.
At 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday, I've got no place to go.
Well, now that makes it sound like you might want to be somewhere else, and we know that you'd like to be here with your two botanical buddies.
Right, that's for sure.
Now, when I look at your book, this one says, "I'm not myself today, and everybody has noticed the improvement." I thought
that's a great title.
It is. I thought, how did you come up with that title?
Well, I'm always looking for cute titles. The title of my first book was "Life is Not an Illusion; It Just Looks That Way." So I'm always trying to think of what a good title would be for my next book. And when I came up with that, I just thought, this is good enough to be a title for one of my books. That's how that came about.
You look kind of like a Russian czar with your jacket on. I'm not sure.
That was painted by Joyce Lazara, a wonderful artist from Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And she did that probably close to 30 years ago. And it's always been one of my favorite paintings of myself. For whatever reason, I've got that type of face that artists like to paint, they say. I've got character in it.
Yeah, I see that. You definitely have that. I would call it a regal flair.
Yeah.
A regal beagle.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, I read in your book that you graduated from high school, I think, at 15, and you finished law school in 2 years. And,
right.
And you might tell people a little bit about how you decided you were going to go into the medical area.
Yes, and unfortunately, when I got in medical school, I started to pass out. I have a situation called vaso-vaso reaction, which apparently is relatively common, but when I see blood, I just pass out, and I don't have to see it. I can just think about it.
Oh, my.
And I'll pass out.
Oh, geez.
So I decided that I was not prepared to go through 8 years, even though they told me, oh, don't worry, you'll get over it, it'll go away. And I just decided that, no, I want to do something else with my life. It was one of those things that in probably junior high, they had career day and said, what do you want to be? And at that time, I said a doctor. And, of course, what do you know in junior high? But in the meantime, I didn't have to meet with any school counselors or anything because everybody said, oh, he's fine. He's going to be a doctor. And really knew nothing about what being a doctor was going to entail. And when I got to college, all my fraternity brothers were pre-med students, so I knew I had done the right thing. And when I finally graduated and decided, no, medicine wasn't for me, I had to find something else to do with my life and decide, well, I better go to graduate business school. And was shocked to find out I couldn't get into graduate business school because I had never had economics, accounting, any of the prerequisites. And finally was told, though, if I went to law school, they would count and they'd let me into graduate business school. So that's why I went to law school, not because I ever wanted to practice law.
Did you ever practice law?
I did for 18 years.
Okay. Wow. What field were you in?
Well, I was fortunate. President Kennedy got elected, and he had his best and brightest program, and he brought me to Washington, D.C., because I was the top of my graduating class from law school. And it was supposed to be for 4 years. He got shot. Johnson came in. Johnson surprised us all by saying he wanted to continue on with what Kennedy was doing. Would we stay another 4 years? We said, sure. Then all of a sudden Nixon came in, and Nixon was bringing in his own group of people.
All right,
sure.
Aaron, we're gonna, if you will, we're gonna hold you again. I'm gonna hold you through this next through our news, which will be a few minutes, because I didn't really get to. I want to know more about Kennedy and Johnson and stuff as well. And we're gonna say the plant talk and the talk about Tampa Bay Magazine and Aaron Foderman's book will be with us on the other side of the news. Stay with us.
Stay with us.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.
Are you thinking about selling your home? You need more than a great realtor on your side. You also need a trusted title agency to close the sale. Connect with one of our local real estate closing specialists at Title Insurers of Florida. We've worked with the Tampa Bay community since 2003 to provide smooth home closings and title insurance when it's your time to sell. It's not just paperwork, it's the safety and peace of mind you deserve. For title and escrow services that are unparalleled, give us a call at 727-456-4700. Title Insurers of Florida. We're opening doors for our community, one closing at a time.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial problems with flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Call now, 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And I am James DeFreitas, and we are back for the Ask Mr. Greenthumb Gardening and Real Estate Show, and we have the great, the one, the only Aaron Fodiman on with us. And one of the quotes that he has in his book, and I'm quoting directly from his new book, "I am not myself today, and everybody has noticed the improvement." He writes, "I do not care if the glass is half full or half empty. I just want to know how to get refilled."
That's true.
Love it.
Aaron, I was going to say, now you were talking a little bit about Kennedy and getting, I guess you were brought up to Washington, D.C. and part of the team. What type of law were you practicing? I guess it must have been something pertaining to the government then. Was it rules and regs? Yep.
Yes. It was basically whatever we were assigned to do. They started me off at the Federal Trade Commission, and then I worked around the White House, and there was always a new situation, a new problem. The government is so complex, even back then, that it was incredible that every day we were learning something new. We're working on a different problem. Very often it was a problem we thought we have solved the week before, and the solution created a new problem. Mm-hmm. So it was an interesting time, and I thoroughly enjoyed being there, but I'm sure glad I'm not there now.
I bet. Now, I notice you, in your book, often you're talking about life, giving off time for value. It seems to be one of your themes that comes back.
Yes.
And, often you come up with a quote from someone, and I find that interesting that you often... And you're right. It's like, why are we here? Why are any of us here? And what do we give up in life for the time we have to put forth?
And that's, the real question that we all face every day. And that's one of the things that's been interesting about this quarantine and having to be home. I think a lot of us are reevaluating and finding out that a lot of the things we were doing are not necessarily the best, but we got into the habit and we were just doing it without thinking about it. I think, particularly with regard to real estate, people are now paying a lot more attention to their homes and what needs to be done and enjoying being out in their yards. And it's just changed the viewpoint for a lot of people on how they want to live their life.
I agree. I think folks, when you're trapped at home, you start to notice the bad wood or the bad board or the bad this or that, because sometimes in life you can say, well, I've got this to go to. I've got the office to run to. Yes. And now when you're trapped at home, you go, well, okay, maybe I should look at that project and, or maybe I'm thinking of a new project. Maybe I want to move to a different home. Maybe this isn't my end all be all, but, in my case, I think it is. I think as you start to get older, you go, how many more times do I want to move?
Well, again, there are certain people that enjoy moving, and there are other people that don't. Mm-hmm. We're amazed that the real estate market, as far as we can see from the people we deal with, has stayed up there, and that people are buying and selling real estate today that you think the business should have stopped, and it hasn't.
That's true.
That when somebody wants to buy a new home, they find ways to see it, and when somebody wants to sell their home, there's always somebody out there looking for a new home. This should have absolutely destroyed the real estate business. And as far as we can see, the realtors that are hanging in there and are continuing to work are doing extremely well.
Well, there's no inventory, so there's, folks, there aren't a million homes for people to look at. So I think if you see something, you better jump on it. And I'm amazed the price has gone up even from last year to this year. You would think that there would have been a natural coming off of the price a little bit, but for the most part, that has not occurred. Now, it may occur in 6 months or a year by some of the experts we've talked to, but even there, I don't think it's going to be dramatic. I think folks...
I don't think so either. I think that, it takes a recession to drive the prices down. And we're obviously not in a recession.
Yep, it's true.
So, therefore, there's no reason for the prices to go down. And, of course, we all know that inflation is definitely here and that replacement costs continue to go up. And as long as inflation is there and as long as the cost of replacement goes up, that keeps the prices up, because if you look for something new, you're going to have to pay that higher price.
Sure. That's well put. Well, in your magazine, of course, you often have what I call some of the most beautiful properties that you're going to find in Tampa Bay. I see Steve and Julie Weintraub have their home in your last edition. And and I knew they would have a beautiful home because they, she's always looks to the nines, and they've got all the jewelry and gold and stuff. And of course, if you talk to those folks, they're also fine folks. They're always doing stuff for the community too. I'm amazed that they can run a big business and still, crossing, I think, hands across Tampa Bay type thing. They're good folks as well.
And they have a large family, so their house served as the hub for their family, and they enjoyed it, and they lived on it. It's right down there on the water in St. Pete, and it's a gorgeous home because Julie used to be a decorator, so she's put all her talent into it. So it's a wonderful place.
It's nice. And a lot of the top builders like to advertise with you because, well, for one thing, the magazine is beautiful. It's nice, high quality. It's not something stapled together. It's well done throughout.
And it goes to the right people. In the last issue, we featured John and Mary Kay Wilson's home.
Right.
And that had been on the market for a year.
Wow.
And as soon as it came out in the magazine, they had 2 or 3 offers, and they sold it within about 2 weeks from when the magazine came out. But that's because 350,000 people that were not looking for homes got to see it. And that's what's always amazing. The people that buy real estate very often are not people that were thinking about buying another home until they see the home.
Sure. And then they see a beautiful photo. I mean, we all know in the industry, he who takes the best photos usually wins.
Yes. And not only that, you can't get a good photo out of a bad property.
True.
So, the photo just gets them to come down and look at the home. The home has to have the bones, the structure to make people want it. And that's another thing, that you've got to put your home in condition that somebody doesn't look at it and say, oh, my God, do I need this project? Mm-hmm. Most people want to buy a house that they can move into and start enjoying immediately.
Sure. Yeah. So Aaron, so you're subscription based. Then you're getting these magazines out to 300,000 people.
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. So that's so that's something that people need to realize too, is that a lot of eyeballs are going to see this. And the other thing that's great about what you said is I paid attention in that you said, it's the quality of the people that are going to see it. Not necessarily, it's not going out to millions of people, but it's going out to the right people.
Exactly. And again, when we say right people, we don't mean to
denigrate
sound highfalutin or denigrate. Right. What we're saying is we're going to people that have an interest in living the good life in this area.
Right.
And you don't necessarily have to be wealthy to do that.
Sure.
But you do have to have an interest. The people that go to the performing arts centers, the people that go to the museums, the people that go to the new pier in St. Petersburg, the people that come to Dunedin for all their different little events from Wine the Blues to Mardi Gras, that there's a lot that you can do without spending a lot of money, but you've got to be an interested individual who wants to extend yourself
Sure.
to be able to enjoy all the things that we have here.
Right. So, I mean, I think what you're getting at more than the monetary aspect of what people may have in their bank accounts is they have to enjoy the culture of Tampa Bay.
Yes.
I mean, that's...
And they have to enjoy living themselves.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things I noticed in your book. I'm not myself today, and everybody has noticed the improvement. There's a common theme when I was flipping through your book today. You're smiling in almost every photo, and there's something funny going on. Either you're smiling or you're bringing out an interesting point about something that you noticed, in your life that was interesting. But overall, I mean, even this photo that looks like it was taken from the 60s, you have a smile on your face, even though you got a full beard. I can still see you smiling. So that tells me a whole lot about your philosophy on life.
You must have been in Washington, D.C. back then.
Yes. But I've always been a happy child. I was fortunate to have a wonderful family. And life has always been good to me. So I never had a reason not to smile. But also, I always knew you had to be able to laugh at yourself because life is funny that way.
It's a better way to take it, I think. And I think your attitude is, you have the glass is half full. And if not, you're going to figure out how to get the glass
refilled.
Half full again.
That's right. He's going to get it refilled.
Yeah. and life is so wonderful because, like with you, I probably met you 30 years ago. And it's funny how you keep running into the same people because if they're people that are active and involved in living, you're going to see them because you're active and involved in living.
Aaron, we're going to keep you, if you don't mind, and I hate to impose on you, we're going to keep you for another few minutes. We pay some more bills here.
No problem.
And because you're such an interesting character and cat, I will say, we'll go back to the 60s. He's an interesting cat, and you're going to enjoy hearing more about Aaron and his life. Stay with us as the Plant Talk and Aaron Talk continues.
Want to talk real estate auctions? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online at aflre.com.
Thinking of buying a home or refinancing your mortgage? Don't settle for limited loan options. And don't waste your time calling all over town just to compare rates. Skip all the hassle and connect with Motto Mortgage Advisors instead. Motto Mortgage Advisors home loan experts offer a wide variety of mortgage products, and they'll help you compare rates and loan terms in one convenient location. Visit MottoMortgage.com or call 727-202-5626. Motto Mortgage Advisors, NMLS 1744233. Each office is independently owned, operated, and licensed. Equal housing opportunity.
Hi, Darcy the cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Every time you buy a bag of Black Cow, you're helping the environment. Black Cow contains 10 times more nutrients and microbes than garden soils. Your lawn, flower beds, and vegetable gardens will be off to a great start with Black Cow.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Attention real estate agents. Need help selling a listing? Auction it off with RE/MAX Metro. Auctions work. And with RE/MAX Metro, most auctions are scheduled within 45 days, selling at fair market value, and we'll guarantee your commission. Auction your Florida real estate with RE/MAX Metro. Go to AFLRE.com. A for auction, FLRE for Florida real estate. Call 727-423-4794 today or go to AFLRE.com.
Utz Tree Service, that's YUTZY, is singularly focused on complete customer satisfaction and has been for almost 50 years. From initial contact to service completion, UTZTreeservice.com will prove that you have hired the best tree care service available. With the most knowledgeable staff and the most advanced equipment, you can be sure that UTZTreeservice.com is the most professional tree care company in the Tampa Bay area. Contact UTZTreeservice.com today for the highest quality tree care.
Are you thinking about selling your home? You need more than a great realtor on your site. You also need a trusted title agency to close the sale. Connect with one of our local real estate closing specialists at Title Insurers of Florida. We've worked with the Tampa Bay community since 2003 to provide smooth home closings and title insurance when it's your time to sell. It's not just paperwork, it's the safety and peace of mind you deserve. For title and escrow services that are unparalleled, give us a call at 727-456-4700. Title Insurers of Florida. We're opening doors for our community, one closing at a time.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions on gardening, real estate, or both? Call now. 813-289-1860. Toll free, 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
I am Stan, and you are James, and we have Aaron Foderman with us, and you were asking Aaron a little bit about... And I met Aaron, I guess I'm going to say, 30-plus years ago at a tennis tournament, and we were talking, I think it was at the Old Royal Racket, and we chit-chatted a little bit about some of the people that we both knew, and, things kind of blossomed from there. As you said, we have kind of... kept in touch. I did a lot of home shows, used to give away a lot of your little blue get a free Tampa Bay Magazine is one of the things I would do when I was giving, let's say, one of the keynote speeches at one of the places. Aaron, you're still with us.
I am here.
And now, with your the magazine, I'm going to say I enjoy your writing. I also enjoy your wife's writing because she often has facts and figures about things. And also, of course, you usually have John Wilson and Dick Crippen and some other folks who do a good job as well.
Yes, it's a fun thing. We all enjoy it, and it's interesting how everybody comes up with their own idea for each issue. And so it's always somewhat the same, but still very different.
I know when I was talking to your lady at the front desk there, she goes, well, I'm not sure where we're going to put your little story. And I said, well, I was thinking a front cover. And she laughed, I laughed, and I said, hey, it might be a good thing to do. But, when you now you've been in the area here for a good long time. You were an attorney. And did you decide that now you've been an attorney, you were a restaurateur, and now you're a publisher and author, and obviously this is what you must love the most.
Certainly, I will say that in retrospect, I do. One would never know because I never had any idea of being a publisher. It's one of those things that just happened, but as I say, I really never planned to be an attorney, and that happened. And the restaurant business, I've always loved food, so that's the only one that doesn't surprise me. But in the meantime, it's interesting how life happens, and we just sort of go along with it. It's sort of one of the things I liked about doing this story on you is that your son is with you, because that doesn't happen as much as it used to happen before. And I think family businesses are something that we're missing out on, because it's so nice not only that you can pass on your knowledge and experience, but that it makes the family unit better.
Well, that's true. We're often talking every day, much like my father and I did, and I always treasured that as a child. And I'd hear different children saying, "Oh, I don't like my mom, I don't like my dad," and I thought, "Gosh, I love my parents," and I can tell from just reading your book that you loved your parents and you loved your siblings.
Yes, and it was a shock to us growing up to find out that other people didn't. I mean, we just grew up assuming that we were just typical, and everybody had this wonderful, loving relationship in their family. And it wasn't until I was fairly old that I realized that, whoa, wait a minute, how fortunate I was that so many people do not have those type of relationships.
That's true. Well, we treasure ours, and I know, as I say, I can pick that up in your book, that you just, you had parents that loved you and cared for you, and even if you were a little demon when you were a child, they found out how to bring the best out of you eventually.
Yes, and it wasn't easy.
Give them a medal. Well, it sounds like you had parents that just, they knew that you were destined to be great at whatever you were going to do, and it seemed like you were going to probably be great at whatever you did do.
As my father used to say, if I live.
If I live.
He used to say, yeah, you'll be fine if you live.
I love your quote, too. You talk about, tell folks about, you know you have enough money for the rest of your life if
I die by Tuesday.
I think that's a great quote.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And again, it's funny how so many of us worry about that, and it never quite happens. We end up hoarding and putting off spending when we could well afford to.
Sure. Well, and it's nice that you point out too, Aaron, because having a great relationship with my dad has always been a true blessing for me. And I realize not everybody has that. I mean, sometimes I'll reach out to friends and I'll be like, well, hey, Mother's Day passed or Father's Day passed. And, how's your dad doing? Oh, I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a year, and I'm always it kind of shocks me a little bit. It takes me back because I'm thinking, my goodness, I just talked to my dad 15 minutes ago, and he didn't really have a whole lot to tell me, but he wanted to check in and see how I'm doing and see how are things today. So yeah, it always surprises me that there's that relationship gap that takes place out there. But that's certainly not the case with my dad and me. We tend to talk almost every day, and of course we work together, and that adds a little element to it. And but we're having a great time with doing the real estate auctions, and he's of course he'll always be a horticulturist to the day he dies, and and I know that is his passion. But having fun and doing the stuff with real estate and working with the fine folks at Remax Metro in St. Pete has been a great move for us, and we're just having a great time working with them and working with each other, and what could be better?
Yep.
And it shows, and that's what's important. Everybody likes to work with people that are happy.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you all work together and are happy makes you the ideal people to work with. And I think people should realize that life is too short to spend time with people you don't like.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I one of the things that we try to do too is that even if a situation gets complicated, and real estate situations often do get complicated, we usually try to find ways to make it work. And if somebody's hot tempered or a little bit like that, we try to find ways to work around those kinds of mindsets too, because that you're going to get all kinds. But I have to say, it was great having you on the show today. Very interesting person. We'll definitely have to have you back, and I absolutely love your book, That I'm Not Myself Today, and everybody's noticed the improvement. It is a fantastic read. Your Tampa Bay Magazine is fantastic. Everyone should have a subscription.
We agree. Aaron, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me on. Speak to you all soon.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye now.
And that was been a fast hour. Because
that was fast.
Exciting. It was interesting. And we got to learn a little bit more about Aaron Foderman that we didn't know.
Absolutely. And the wonderful Tampa Bay Magazine. What a great publication. It's great because it's local. So go out and pick up a copy today. And join us next week from 7 to 9 right here.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at askmrgreenthumb.com.